So this is what the Canvas website looks like for the class when you log in. And you're going to come over here to the Files button and click Files. And then you can see the educational requirements. You're going to click there. And then here's the PowerPoint that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to go through the PowerPoint slides and tell you what I would have told you if we'd had time to do it during the class. So here is the educational requirements for engineering. And we have some questions here that we want to answer for you. So you can take a moment and read the questions. We want to talk about the different kinds of degrees. What's the difference between a degree and a major? How do I choose a major and a degree? What kind of schooling do you need? Where can you get this education? What do we have at Sierra College? How can your high school education help? Where should you start at Sierra College? And which classes should you take and in which order? The difference between a college and a university, which schools are best and how to choose a school, and what are the costs for the different schools. And then we just have some fun pictures of things that Sierra College engineering students do. So the engineering degrees, there's two basic types, a 2-year degree and a 4-year degree. So the degree we would suggest you go for is this 4-year degree professional degree. That's the basic bachelor's degree. At Sierra College, we have a 2-year degree that you can be an engineering technician. And then there are some 4-year degrees that are considered technical degrees, a little lower than the professional degree. And that would be something like construction management. And then you can get advanced degrees beyond those 4-year degrees, but as we said during the 2 days of the seminar, we don't recommend that you think about that yet. So the major branches of engineering, Professor Pattengale talked about civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and of course there's lots more. So here are the current major branches of engineering. AE is architectural engineering, aerospace, chemical, civil, computer science, electrical, environmental, industrial, materials, mechanical, mining, and nuclear. So you can investigate those, and I would recommend that you do that for your paper that I want you to write, and pick the branch that seems the most interesting to you and learn more about it. So when you're choosing a major, think about what is your passion. What do you love to do in your spare time? What do you like to work on? What does the time just fly by when you're doing it? And how do you like to work? Do you like to work hands-on, or do you more like researching on the computer and reading articles? Would you rather be indoors or outdoors? There's engineering jobs where you do both. There's engineering jobs that are strictly inside. There are engineering jobs where you're mostly outside. So it's good if you think about what you like. How much can you afford? How much time can you spend getting your degree? How much energy do you have? And how much money can you afford to spend? And then think about what's important to you in a job. Where do you want the job to be? What kind of work do you want to do? And what kind of people do you want to work with? So take classes in the different fields. At the community college, you have a chance to experiment and try lots of different things at a very low cost. Professor Pattengale is a big fan of making weighted lists. So what he means is don't just list the pros and cons. Say this pro is worth 5 points to me and this con is worth 3 points. So the pro would win out over the con. Here are some of the different engineering degrees. We recommend the 4-year bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university. The organization that accredits 4-year engineering schools is ABET, A-B-E-T. So you want to make sure the school you're looking at is ABET accredited. You need advanced math, physics, and chemistry for all the different kinds of engineering. And there's lots of GE requirements that depend on which school you're transferring to. Then the engineering technology, these are 4-year bachelor's degree, but they're considered a little less than a full-on 4-year engineering bachelor's degree. So MET is mechanical engineering technology, and there's various other ones. And then engineering technician is just the 2-year certificate or a 2-year degree that has no GE. So you can not have to do the GE and maybe get a job working as a technician while you're finishing up your degree work. So I wanted to show you a salary comparison of if you go and get more advanced degrees. So here's an electronics technician salary. Then you can see if you get, say, a technical degree or a full-on bachelor's degree or a master's degree. You can see how it increases your average salary. So the decision is all yours to make. We'd love to help you. Set your sights high. You can always lower them. And the first 2 years are pretty much the same for all engineering majors, so you don't really have to decide which branch right away. You should like math and science, or at least be good at them. You should like solving puzzles, fixing things. Spend time in school and focus on quality. So don't be in a big rush to get finished and get poor grades and not really learn what you're there to learn. Follow your passion, not a money trail or your best friends. One of the reasons I picked engineering was to make lots of money, and here I am being a teacher, not making lots of money, but I love my job. So find what you love to do and do that. So coming from high school, it's ideal if you've had 2 years of algebra, a year of geometry, some trigonometry, chemistry and physics, and if you've had mechanical drawing, that gives you a jump, and if you have computer literacy and some basic programming, that would be awesome, and if you've already done some calculus, that's fabulous. You start ahead of the game. GPA does matter when you are trying to get a job after you get your degree. Many employers won't even look at your resume if your GPA is below 3.0. It says a lot about how good you are at learning and doing what you're told and getting the job done and finishing what you start. So employers want to see that. So it doesn't necessarily say you're smart, but it does say you're educated and that you finish what you start. So Sierra College's transfer students should be able to finish an engineering degree in 2 more years after they transfer. The reality is it often happens that there are specialty classes that the 4-year schools offer that we can't offer because they're too specialized. So we do offer all the math that you need, Math 30, 31, 32, and 33. So this is Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3, and then Math 33 is differential equations and linear algebra together. You need 3 semesters of physics for most engineering majors. Some only require 2, but 205, 210, and 215, those are the 3 physics. Engineering drafting, we have Engineering 22A, that's an introduction to CAD, and 22B, which is the descriptive geometry class, that's more engineering oriented. Then you have a circuit theory class. Please note that's offered in the spring only. So if you're making an education plan of what to take which semester, make sure you note that that's offered in the spring only, and you have to be either taking Math 33 or done with Math 33 because you need that knowledge to do the circuits class. Statics, Engineering 35, has a physics prerequisite, so you usually take that farther along in your engineering career. Material science has a chemistry prerequisite, and it is offered in the fall only, so make sure when you're making your plan, you put Engineering 45 in the fall. And then surveying, if you're going to be a civil engineer, you do need a surveying class. We offer that in the spring only. We have a wonderful part-time instructor who that's his business. He runs a surveying and civil engineering business in the city of Rockland. So he usually finds awesome projects for the students to do, maybe helping survey a park for the city of Rockland. And then starting in the fall of 2014, so it's still quite new, a manufacturing processes class, Engineering 37, where you learn how to use a mill and a lathe and a CNC machine and all kinds of shop equipment so that you can be better prepared for your engineering job. So calculus, chemistry, and physics are usually prerequisites or what are called co-requisites, where you can take them at the same time. So the engineering technician certificate, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Not very many students do this, but it is available. We have a general engineering technician certificate and a civil engineering certificate. And if you want more information about that, we can give it to you, but we really press students to think about doing the 4-year degree. So if you didn't have to take any GE, which isn't real life, but if that was the case and you were ready to take Math 30 when you started at Sierra, that's about the only way you could finish in 2 years. So here's a plan where you could finish in 2 years, but you can see that this is 4-unit class, this I think is a 6-unit class, this is a 3-unit class, this is a 3-unit class. You don't have any room for GE. So it's pretty much the case that every engineering student has to spread out their work over more semesters so they can fit in the GE classes also. And if you start below Math 30, that's going to add some time to your engineering journey also. So the engineering certificate, we show here how you could finish that and see how there's much smaller class load, so you could finish it quicker, but it's much less valuable. So math and physics you should get done as early as you can. You have to complete trigonometry before you can start taking the engineering survey class, but you can take engineering 22A, the intro to CAD, with no prerequisite. So you can take that as early as you want. It's a big homework load, so make sure you have plenty of time for doing the homework, but these are the earlier, easier engineering courses that you can take while you're taking your calculus and physics. Then when you've finished your first physics class and the intro to CAD, then you could take the statics class and the second drafting class, 22B. And then once you've finished your chemistry and your second physics and Math 31, you can take engineering 45 material science and engineering 17 circuit theory. So most engineers take these two courses their last year at Sierra College in the fall and in the spring. The courses are really challenging and you have to meet prerequisites now, so make sure you have a plan, and it's kind of tricky. It's like a puzzle trying to fit it all together. So if you need assistance, we do have some really good counselors that can help you with that. So please ask if you need a recommendation for a good counselor. So very few students anymore graduate with a bachelor's degree in engineering in 4 years. The average is more like 5.5, so don't get discouraged if it's taking you longer than it seems like it's taking your friend who has perhaps an easier major with a lower unit requirement. Very few students complete their pre-engineering coursework at Sierra in 2 years. The average is 3, and the farther back you start in your math sequence, the longer it's going to take. Math is usually what we call the critical path that pretty much decides how long it's going to take you. Nearly all of the state colleges and universities offer several engineering degrees and concentrations within a particular degree. So in my chemical engineering degree, I had an applied math concentration, so I chose a collection of elective classes that together made a concentration. So you don't have to have a concentration, but you might choose to if you're, say, very interested in automotive. Then you can have your electives be in the automotive engineering and have a concentration. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is how to choose a college. And there's a big difference between the state universities, the CSUs, and the University of California UCs. So I talked a little bit about that. The CSUs mostly aren't allowed to grant doctoral degrees, PhDs. That's the University of California, the UC system. So the UC system is more focused on research. The CSUs are a little more focused on teaching. They also do research, but not as much. They're less expensive. They're more regional. So there's 23 state universities, I believe, and only 9 UCs. So the UCs draw from a bigger area and more students travel from home to get to a UC, whereas usually people go to the CSU that's closest to their home unless it doesn't have the program they're interested in. They're not as focused on research. They're a little less prestigious when you're going to get your first job. And it's a little easier to get accepted, and they're usually smaller. So Sac State's our closest one. A lot of our engineering students also go to CSU Chico and Cal Poly. So I'm going to stop here because I have a limit of 15 minutes on my free screen recorder, and I'll finish the rest in a second installment.